In the winter of 1944, one of Europe's most beautiful capitals was transformed into a veritable hell, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of soldiers, without food, without ammunition, and with thousands of civilians trapped between the fighting. Budapest became the stage for one of the most brutal urban battles of World War II. But what made this battle even more dramatic was a direct order from Adolf Hitler. The city was to be defended to the last man. No retreat, no surrender. For almost 2 months, German and Hungarian troops fought desperately against the advancing Red Army, while the city was destroyed street by street. But the question is, why did Budapest become so important to Hitler? And why did the siege end in such a gigantic tragedy? To understand the Siege of Budapest, we need to go back to 1944. At that time, the war in the East was changing significantly. After devastating defeats against the Soviets, Hungary began to consider abandoning its alliance with Germany. The Hungarian leader, Miklos Argy, initiated secret negotiations with the Allies to withdraw the country from the war. For Hitler, this was absolutely unacceptable. If Hungary left the conflict, the Soviets would maintain a direct path to the heart of Central Europe. In response, Germany launched Operation Margarethe, militarily occupying the country and installing a government fully aligned with the Nazi regime. From that moment on, Budapest became a crucial piece on the war chessboard. For the Soviets, capturing Budapest meant opening the way to 2 strategic cities, Vienna and, eventually, Berlin. Furthermore, controlling the Hungarian capital would consolidate the Soviet presence in Eastern Europe. From the German side, losing Budapest would mean further opening the way for the invasion of German territory. Therefore, Hitler declared the city a fortress that should resist at all costs. Inside the city were approximately 79,000 German and Hungarian soldiers, supported by a few hundred artillery pieces and a little over 100 tanks. These troops were under the command of SSE's General Karl Pfeffer. Outside, the encirclement was formed by a much larger force. The Soviets mobilized approximately 177,000 soldiers, commanded by Marshals Rodion Malinovsky and Fyodor. In addition, Romanian troops who switched sides in the war in 1944 also participated in the offensive. By the end of December 1944, Soviet troops managed to cut the last supply routes linking Budapest to the remaining German forces. The city was officially surrounded. Inside were more than 60,000 Axis soldiers, approximately 800,000 civilians. No way ouchie! The Soviet strategy was classic. Completely encircle the city and then advance slowly, destroying resistance sector by sector. The fighting inside Budapest quickly turned into a brutal street war. Entire buildings were contested floor by floor. Basements, subway stations, and even sewer tunnels were used for ambushes and troop drops. On the eastern side of the city, known as Pest the Flat terrain, favored the Soviet advance. The western side, Buda, with its hills and fortified buildings, became the last stronghold of resistance. The defenders used snipers, artillery positioned on the hills, and improvised barricades. Even so, the advance continued slowly. Each block conquered cost-life items. While the battle inside the city raged on, the Germans desperately tried to break the siege. This research was found under the name Operation Conrad. Several blind offensives were launched to reach Budapest. For a few moments, German tanks came dangerously close to the city, but the Soviets managed to block all advances. Help never arrived. In January 1945, the situation inside the city was desperate. The soldiers were out of ammunition, out of food, and even out of drinking water. Many reports indicate that German and Hungarian troops resorted to consuming horse meat to survive. Even so, Hitler continued to forbid any retreat. On the night of February 11, 1945, the German command made an extreme decision. About 28,000 soldiers attempted to break through the Soviet encirclement in a desperate escape. The plan, however, was a disaster. The Soviet troops were already expecting the attack. Most of the soldiers were killed or captured. Only about 600 men managed to escape. 2 days later, on February 13, 1945, Budapest finally fell. The battle lasted almost 2 months and left behind immense devastation. Tens of thousands of soldiers died. Approximately 76,000 civilians lost their lives. More than 80% of the city was destroyed. The fall of Budapest paved the way for the Soviet offensive towards Vienna and subsequently Germany itself. It also consolidated Soviet control over Hungary in the post-war period. Today, the Siege of Budapest is often compared to the brutality of the Battle of... Both battles show the same brutal pattern of warfare in the East. Extreme urban combat, massive civilian suffering, and strategic decisions that cost tens of thousands of lives.